crossover now to Parliament for the Public Accounts Committee hearing on the Auditor General's reports.
My Deputy Minister explained, the releases we made to the Electoral Commission in 2016 were all covered by warrants which were generated from the GiftMe platform. And I have copies of that one. I have copies of all the releases we did to the Electoral Commission covered by duly approved warrants.
Chairman, I asked a specific question, whether or not they are disapproving or disagreeing with the findings of the Auditor General. The Auditor General is telling us that, per their reports, that payments have not been made to the tune of over 56 million Ghana cedis outside of the GiftMe system. Is this correct? Yes or no?
Honorable Chair, I'm aware of instances where some MDAs, even though we generate the warrant through the system, some of them make an attempt to lift the money from the treasury and then do the payment outside. But then, moving forward, we are making the GiftMe system as robust as possible so that third-party payments will go directly to them and not through any MDA.
Okay. No, Honorable members. Honorable Chair, let me. The answer he gave is trying to tell you that when they use a platform, the GiftMe platform, to issue the warrants, the actual payments are made by the MDA. Some of them are trying or have tried to pay the actual payment, because if they issue the warrant, that is not a payment. Yes. It's giving access to that MDA to now pay. Now, these MDA are now trying to effect this payment without using the platform. That is the answer he's giving. And which means that the system currently has weaknesses that you have to work on.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that was previously, but now, like he said, we've made it robust such that you cannot sit there and then pay, but the system itself will pay the third party. So certainly it will have to go through the GiftMe.
So the Auditor General was right with this comment on page 15 in respect of payments that were not made outside of the platform.
By the MDAs. Like Honorable Chair,
by the MDAs.
By the MDAs, but
very well.
From our end, we pass through the right process. And like he said, we have the warrants to show that.
And we are assuring this committee that come 2017 report, should we find any payments made outside of the GiftMe platform, there will be monumental consequences.
Honorable Chair, let me throw some light on this issue. The GiftMe platform is simple, straightforward. What it means is that when you access your funds, you go through various modules, like the chairman is aware, the PO, the requisition PO, the goods are supplied, SRAs are issued, then the goods are delivered, invoices are submitted. All these are done on the platform, real time. There's nothing like physical document being brought from somewhere. Then finally, the payment is transferred by a SWIFT. We don't issue checks, no checks. We issue a bank transfer advice through a means of a SWIFT, where the controller will direct the Bank of Ghana to transfer so much from the consolidated fund into the sub-CF, sub-consolidated fund of the MDA. So it's right. We'll move the system through the GiftMe right from the time the money is released or transferred from the consolidated fund into the sub-CF, the MDA's own account. When the money is lodged into the MDA's own account, we as Controller, Minister of Finance, we finished. It is now the responsibility of the MDA to also use the same platform, because they don't have checks. They don't have checks. No MDA has a checkbook. They also have to use the same means to transfer the money into the vendor, the supplier's account, by a way of also a SWIFT or transfer. So that is how it is. Okay, so, Rankin, you want to find out about something?
No, it's okay.
It's okay. All right, any other question on the gift miss? On the gift miss? Gift miss? Aziz, gift miss.
Thank you, Chairman. My question is, if the MDAs don't have checkbooks and they can only pay through a SWIFT, just like you do from controller, how are they able to manipulate the process to be able to pay with checks? I want to understand how they do it, because you say they don't have checks, and so you release the money to the sub-CF of the MDA. How are they able to pay without passing through the system? Because they have no checkbooks.
Yeah, the suppliers and vendors are all defined. In fact, before the payment or what have you, you need to get us a list of suppliers, a list of vendors that you actually transact with. Then their details are defined on the GIFME system. Their bank account numbers and their bank details are all defined. So like Electoral Commission or whichever MDA, because we already have you declared your vendors at the time you were setting up. When it comes to the payment, the vendor's account is already on the GIFME. So you just transfer the money into the account. So all we are saying that all MDAs, what we call the setup, system setup, you have to declare your vendors, their locations, their bank details, their addresses, all on the GIFME system. So that anytime a vendor supplies and you are going to pay him at the sub-CF level, you only just transfer the money and it goes into the supplier's account. No supplier is given a check. No check is issued.
Thank you, Chairman. You know, we make a lot of payments apart from just paying suppliers. For instance, students, MPs. When my common fund goes to the assembly, and the people I ask to maybe supply cement or whatever I want to use the command for, they will not be on the platform. So if you say no MDAs have checkbooks, how are they able to disburse these amounts to the various people that we instruct, especially at the district levels? Are they not supposed to be on the gift mix?
You are right. The system has been escalated to all MDAs, MMDAs. But as far as payment at the MMDAs is concerned, they are still allowed to issue checks. Gradually, we would get them off the payment by check in the course of time. So that is the position. So at Fantiakwa, they are issuing checks. It's in order. It will get to a point they will no more issue checks.
Now, if a new company wants to register, what processes they have to go through, and how fast can they register to come on the platform?
For the MMDAs, like I said, we have rolled out to all the MMDAs, whether it is Kumasi or Accra or wherever. MDAs, we've rolled out to all of them. So if you are trying to engage a new supplier, all you do is that you go through the setup process, and then the name and the details come on board of the GIFME, even as of today. If you have any challenge, our GIFME Secretariat will come in and support you in defining your new supplier on the system.
So how about the MMDAs?
The MMDAs, Honorable Chair, like I said, gradually we are getting there. We have rolled out to all the 216 MMDAs. Right now, if you go to Fatiakwa, they still process it on the GIFME, just that they don't have the means of payment by SWIFT. So when they go through the requisition, what do you call it, the P2P, and you get to the point that you have to pay, even here we are going to introduce a digital checks so that they can use the digital check system, what we call the GIP, Ghana Instant Payment System for the district, because not all the districts have Bank of Ghana. So, but they could still pay through the GIP, which is an instant payment, and the debit will hit the consolidated fund. All right. So, as far as the districts are concerned, we are allowing them by December or thereafter, we will be able to gradually get the SWIFT system to them. But as far as the processing is concerned, in fact, I was in Bosunche, Bekwai, and I witnessed processing on the GIFMIS in the Bosunche Assembly. But the payment, when it gets to payment, because the SWIFT is not there, they still can be allowed to use the check to pay. But the actual process would have been captured. We need to process the actual transaction on the GIFMIS to be able to capture the transaction into the accounts. And our account that is in front of our honorable members have all gone through the GIFMIS process. So that is the position, sir.
Okay. It sounds very good. And I'm only saying something like once some of the MMDA are still allowed to issue checks, that would delay your process of reconciliation. If some of the checks do not clear within...
Honorable, you are right. Yeah. We have there's a module called the BRT, automatic ABI, automatic bank reconciliation system, which helps us to do the reconciliation. In fact, in a situation like this, there might be a few delays here and there in the district, but we will make sure that the reconciliation goes through and we capture everything. Thank you, sir.
Okay, no further question on the GIFMIS. So, Honorable Atamios.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Controller and Accountant General, who owns Ghana Ports and Harbors Authority?
Chair, GAPOHA is 100% owned by Ghana government.
But if that is the case, how come that when it came to the investment schedule, you didn't, you omitted GAPOHA on your financial statement? We're on page 12, paragraph 44. And whilst we are looking at that, let's look at national lotteries. That was also omitted in your financial statement as part of your investment. But all these companies pay you dividends or pay you surplus amount, and you account for these on your statement. But then when it comes to the investment schedule, that was also omitted. You omitted Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company, Juapon Textiles. You omitted that. Songo Salt Project, owned 100% by the government. You omitted that. Gihok. So why that?
Yeah, Honorable Chair, 2016. Yeah, I see it. Yes, 12 and 13. There's a tall list. And our response is that they were not omitted deliberately, as it were. You know, these balances are always, at a point in time, you need to do some valuation to bring them to the marketable values in the accounts.
So why were they omitted?
Yeah, we are saying the state-owned corporations and joint ventures which were divested or officially liquidated.
No, sir. I'm talking about a different thing. The ones owned by Ghana government that were omitted from your financial statement. When it came to the investment schedule, you omitted all these. Why? But at the same time, you listed Ghana International Airways as an asset that the government has.
No, those companies are the defunct ones. In fact, we have given 3 categories of companies in this regard. The auditors noticed that first there were companies that were...
Controller and Accountant General, let's stick right now to the investment portfolio for Ghana government. The investment portfolio.
Yes.
Gihok was omitted. Ghana Textiles was omitted. Songo Salt was omitted. Saltpond Oil was omitted. Ghana Ports and Harbors Authority was omitted. National Lotteries Authority was omitted. Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing was omitted. Drapon Textiles was omitted. Why? And for Oil Palm was omitted. Why? These are owned by government.
Honorable Chair, these were omissions that were later restored. In fact, when we noticed that they had been omitted, from the accounts, we got back and then re-entered them in the account. These are companies, some of them, like all these companies you mentioned, are companies that are actually performing. So, as at today, or 2017 accounts, they've all been restored. I mean, sometimes when we are preparing...
Mr. Chairman, that answer does not fly. These are government companies. And when you are listing the government's investments, these need to be listed. My question to you was 2016 financial statements. These companies were omitted from the investment schedule. Why were they omitted? And how many more other companies does this government own that sometimes they omit?
Like I've explained, it was not something that intentionally to omit these balances in the accounts. You see, when you are doing, sometimes these companies, a lot of them, because they are all defunct, some of them are defunct, we secularize them to make sure that they are in existence. We have written to our ministry to look at some of these because we have a whole PID.
Mr. Chairman, please. I think he's talking about Mr. Controller and Accountant General. Please, if you listen to me, I think we'll have the answer. These are not defunct companies.
Yes.
Gapoha is not a defunct company. The question is, why were some of these companies omitted?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. Please.
Investment.
I think that the auditors did a good job. They audited accounts prepared by Controller and Accountant General. And in that account, these companies were omitted. So if they provide the information later, you cannot assume that because they provide the information to you, you not report on them. So if you take that account, you still not find those companies there unless they pass some JV or whatever to correct it. If they do that, then it will be an attachment to the account. And why should we pass the JV? Because something was wrong and you are correcting it. So if the auditor report on it this way, it's right that they do that.
Yes, a little matter of interest. Bank of Ghana, I'm sure they make profit sometimes. Do you regard them as an investment?
Bank of Ghana, we have the value of government investment in Bank of Ghana in our books. If you're looking at the state-owned investment, BOG is there. And I think it's about 100 million or so.
So who takes their profit? Because they do make profits.
Oh, when they make profit, they pay dividend. Like any other institute, any other government investment. And it's put into the consolidated fund. The other time, commercial bank made profit, they pay as dividend. Gapoha made profit, they pay as dividend. Or it's captured as part of the government IGF. It's all part of it.
The list on page 13, list of 27 companies and joint ventures that have been divested, yet they were included in the investment. How do you speak to that one?
I know the age issue. Many of these companies, upon Manso, Giraffe Farms, all these are in the books of government. They were government investment. But more or less, they are defunct. Ghana Sugar Estate, it doesn't exist anymore. Over the years, we have recommended, in fact, with the auditors, we've recommended that the books should be cleaned so that we clear off, we have a clean sheet or a clean slate. Year in, year out, this issue comes up, and then we don't take a decision on that. We as a government accountant, we cannot write off this. Honorable Chair, you bear with me. We cannot write off these balances. So that is the position. We will continue to state them as it is. But it's like a window dress. It's not helping anybody. Most of these companies don't exist. Thank you, sir.
To avoid the auditors always raising, would you promise us that you will take action? In other words, you will recommend to the minister to bring it to Parliament for these things to be cleared from the books?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. It has been recommended to us. It's part of the work the consultant is doing to identify defunct companies. And then we will also bring it to Parliament, asking Parliament to give us approval to clear it off our books. So as soon as this work is done, we will present it to Parliament, and then Parliament will give us the approval to take these companies, defunct companies, off our books. Thank you.
Chairman, on these defunct companies, like we find out that most of them that are defunct, but they still have some assets left. Like in the case of Ejura Farms, I represent the people of Ejura. Even though the farm is no longer there, they still have some assets, building warehouses, which still government can make use of. So in taking a decision as to writing them off, a decision will also have to be taken as to what the assets that government has on those defunct companies. What are we going to do with them? Either selling them or giving them back to the traditional authorities, or whatever decision that we need to take. So we need to take cognizance of that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, on the SOEs, the minister indicated that you had engaged a consultant who had so far prepared a comprehensive list. So how many SOEs do we have now, since you now have a comprehensive list?
I cannot say it on top of my head, but the report is available, and my minister will have to review it, and then the necessary steps will be taken. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yes. Honorable PAC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, just a quick follow-up to the minister. Do we truly need a consultant to make us aware of defunct state-owned companies? I mean, don't we have enough professionals in the system to be able to undertake this activity?
It is not just, Honorable Chair, please, it is not just defunct companies. We're also studying the equity stake in all these companies that government owns. So it is not just defunct companies that we are high. And these same consultants are amongst us, the same people, the same Ghanaians that we're using, engaging them to do something for their country. We just want to find out the value of our equity stakes in these companies, as well as they giving us advice. Like my honorable member said, that those that still have some assets that the government can use, how best we can utilize it to reduce, the loan balances that they have with us. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I ask this question because we are also talking about saving the public purse. And so if we have, ministries like the Ministry of Finance with all of the professionals there, I would assume that there has to be the capacity to be able to undertake this. For how long are we going to continue to engage consultants and pay them on the side when we keep employing people to perform these functions on behalf of the state? I mean, that is the import of my question. It's about dispensing resources to undertake assignments that I believe we have the professionals to be able to undertake.
Mr. Ofosivini, I remember last year, I asked you the same question, and you promised that you will work on it. These 27 divested or officially liquidated companies, and this year they're there again. Can you now give us our final promise?
Honorable Chair, indeed, I was here last year to elucidate on some of these issues. Indeed, attempts have been made all the effort that we have put in. We have evidence, letters that we have written to Minister of Finance and all the Auditor General, the whole meetings that we've held on these issues. These will go to confirm that some attempts have been made. But like I said, the bottom line doesn't rest with us. We cannot write them off. So, as my minister said, she confirmed that indeed they have received our correspondences or our letters bringing these issues to the attention of the ministry. That is the farthest we can go. We have brought it. So, if no action is taken, 2017, it will be there. But like he has said, the consultant is working on it. Hopefully, it will come to Parliament for Parliament to give authorization and approval for these balances to be written off. I would be very interested to have a clean sheet. Because, like I said, these are all giving impression that government has huge investments or assets. But they mean nothing, seriously.
Mr. Fosini, if you look at this, even the auditors recommended, they are officially liquidated and even divested. So what is the interest here again? Honorable Minister, I believe you will push forward and make sure next year we don't see this in there. I think there's no need. From 1991, 94, those things, they're not helping us anyway. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
All right, that will be all for the question on those companies that have been omitted or divested. But, Honorable Deputy Minister, who is a consultant? Who is a consultant?
Honorable, it went through a competitive process.
Who is a consultant?
I'm coming to say Deloitte and Touche Ghana, yes.
I believe you've gone through the procurement process to procure Deloitte and Touche.
That was what I started my statement with. That.
But I didn't ask you that question. I didn't ask you that question. You knew that would be my next question. So, honorable members, different question altogether. Honorable Chairman.
Chairman, thank you. Let's turn to page 10, paragraph 36. Madam Minister, it's been reported that your ministry advanced loan totaling 8 million to 30 institutions. But as we speak, only 6 out of the 30 beneficiaries has fully discharged their indebtedness. The question I want to ask is that suppose these 30 institutions have gone to the banks for a bailout, at least they will be enjoined to provide the collateral of some sort. So in case of default, it could be fall on and the debt can be discharged from those collaterals. Do you apply the same principle here?
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Yes, these amounts still remains in the books of the Ministry of Finance. And we engaged Yoko to help us retrieve these monies. We have been able to reduce the amount. Yoko has been able to retrieve 1.6 million, and this has duly been paid into the Consolidated Fund. And we are sort of making steps, pushing Yoko to also help us, assist us, collect the rest of the balances on these loans.
Chairman, I want to know whether in instances like this, we only have to call in Yoko to our assistance. Don't we have in the ministry debt recovery department to be doing these things, and we need to outsource these recoveries to Yoko? Don't we have it?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. But yes, we do have. But Honorable Minister, Honorable Chair, this YOCO is a specialized arm, and I think they do it best. I mean, they help us in this regard. They've been helping us for quite some time now. So we believe that they're in a very good position to assist. We are doing our part by collecting what is due, but it's not that easy. So that's why we engaged the services of YOCO to help us retrieve these monies. Honorable Chair, we all know that sometimes when they are taking the money, it's very, very easy, I mean, for them to collect. But when repayments are being done, that is where we have the challenge. So we are putting measures in place to make some of these things very robust by these days engaging the banks on their behalf so that they deal directly with the banks. And so that they don't take the money directly from Ministry of Finance, but Ministry of Finance does it through the bank. So at the end of the day, it is the bank that will collect these monies from them moving forward.
Madam Minister, I think you explained...
Order.
You did explain that you brought YOCO in, they collected the money, and the money were sent to the kitty. But contrary to what you said, if you go to paragraph 38 of the auditor's report, that is page 11, the auditors are saying different thing to the effect that when YOCO did collect the 1 million plus that you're talking about, they refused to turn it over to government chest. How do you reconcile this to your position?
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Like I said, it's been transferred, and I think the auditors can confirm that, yes, the monies have been transferred into the consolidated accounts. We have the funds with government.
You have the evidence here. And how long did the money stay with YOCO? And whether they just transferred with some interest or it could stay with them? What is the... And we don't know that. We are not privy to the arrangement we had with them, that when they do the mop-up, they should transfer, it should stay in their accounts for only heaven knows when, before finally it's transferred to government kitty.
Honorable Chair, as we speak now, the monies have been transferred into the consolidated fund.
Honorable Minister, when was the money transferred to the consolidated fund?
I think we have letters to prove, and we've given them a copy to...
When? You are leading the team. I just want to know when. I don't want to go and be reading all these your plenty documents. When was the money transferred to the consolidated fund?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We will furnish you with the details.
Okay, sure.
Shortly.
Now, let me refer you. The auditors say that YOCO received the money, or they collected the money in 2015. In 2015. I know this Auditor's General Report was prepared in 2017 by June, by law, 2017 by June. This 2016 report should have come to Parliament. So if they received the money or they collected the money in 2015, they have not paid the money to the consolidated fund in that 2015. Then 2016, the whole of 2016, they have not paid the money into the consolidated fund. Up to June 2017, by the time this report was issued, they have not...
interest on it and then paid back. It is something they should have done. They should have paid it immediately they got it, but they failed to do so. But Mr. Chairman, I think, as part of your recommendation...
Then what is the interest of YOCO collecting the money and leaving it in their account? What is the interest? To leave it in the account, so that the account look big.
Honorable Chair, I think the head of YOCO will be the best person to answer the interest.
So you don't answer the question that, oh, you think that because they also keep the account with Bank of Ghana, they cannot invest the money.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Yes. They can find a way of taking the money and invest it somewhere.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
And then make money on it and then bring the principal back.
Yes, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Let me continue. Okay. Chairman, I think the committee will also be interested to know whether the whole of 1,168,98 was transferred or it was net of the operation cost that IOCO incurred.
Honorable Chairman, please, the whole amount was transferred to us.
Okay.
Thank you.
The auditors are also saying that I think this is in 39 and it's so short, so Chairman will indulge me and I'll read. I also noted that CH failed to disclose an accumulated interest of 806,407 Ghana cedis, which formed part of the Danida loan. Why such an omission?
Honorable Chair, the interest portion was actually incorporated in the amount, and the auditors will testify. The interest was, so if you look at it, if you check the balances, how much was given to them, how much has been paid, is more than what they're supposed to, because the interest has already been factored, so it is there. Mr. Mufa will confirm.
Mr. Mufa has indeed confirmed, so Chairman, I'll leave it here.
Any question on this one? After that, we'll move to a new person.
Yeah, Chairman, when you look at this issue of Danida loan, it states the period during which these 30 institutions were given the loan, 1997 and 2005. 1997 and 2005. And we are now looking at it in 2016. I want to find out if all these entities are still in existence from IOCO's efforts. Have they confirmed to us that all these companies are still in existence? And that's why we are taking this action now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. From IOCO's efforts, they were able to contact 12 out of the 24 companies.
What about the rest? They could not locate them?
From their letter, they said that they are still pursuing them. And then as and when they get these funds, they will transfer them into the consolidated fund. But my directors are here if they would want to add anything to it, because, I mean, they were there when these things were done.
Mr. Chairman, I think going by IOCO's letter, the ones they've been able to identify and collected some repayments are the number mentioned here, which means they are still looking for the others. This is in relation to, I mean, the first issue we discussed, that they are still looking for those, and as and when they are able to identify them, take appropriate action to collect what is due.
Mr. Chairman, if IOCO, which is supposed to be an intelligence an economic and investigative intelligence wing of government machinery, is still struggling to locate companies that have been given loans by the state from between 1997 and 2005. Then, are we safe? Because first of all, we cannot comprehensively tell how many SOEs we have as a nation. We cannot also be able to tell the whereabouts of companies that we have advanced loans to over 20 years ago. Is it an effort in futility?
Any response?
Yes.
Any response? Minister, it's government money.
Yes.
You have contracted IOCO to help.
Yes.
But they can't even locate the companies. Is it not worrying?
Honorable Chairman, so far they have been able to locate 12. We engaged them in 2010. Right? In 2010. And, sorry, we engaged them, yeah, in not 2010, but the letter here states that we engaged them, and we refer to your letter on the above subject matter dated 31st May 2016. So we engaged them for a period, and we believe that we should give them that opportunity to help us collect these funds. So far, they have
for a period. Is a period expired or still running?
Yes, Honorable Chairman, the period is still running, and as and when, they get in some monies, they will transfer them into our accounts.
All right, so we are moving to another question. So, Honorable Bauer.
Mr. Controller, let's go to page 17, paragraph 60. All of us here are potential pensioners, and the report is saying you are supposed to transfer an amount of 890,880,284 to SNET and then NPRA, which, were not done over a year. So I would like to find out from you why so. Because these are statutory transfers that need to be sent to these bodies to ensure that workers who have gone on pension are able to go to enjoy their benefits in dignity. And me and you, we are all potential pensioners. Why so?
Indeed, I'm surprised because as of 2016, nothing has happened. No money, all the monies were kept in the TPFA account, temporary pension fund account. Close to about 5 billion was settled in there. And I bet you people who went on pension at that time could not have their pension because there was no way these monies could be transferred to various, let me give you a little background. The new Pension Act has specified 3 or 2 tiers, the tier 1, tier 2. As of 2010, when the new Pension Act came into being, those who were, I'm a consultant, I can give you all the stuff. What happened was, those at that time, 2010, it says those who were 55 and above, they will continue to retire and go to SNET for their pension, both the gratuity and then the regular monthly pension. But those who were below 55, they were going to be affected by this tier 1, tier 2. At that time, from that time onwards, all the pension or monthly contributions, both the employee-employer, were all lodged into the TPFA.
So that money had been kept into the TPFA until about February, March 2017, when we had to do the reconciliation to move whatever was to benefit those who were 55 and below, taken from their TPFA account. Again, the pension rates, as we know, is 5.5 and 13. That makes it about 18.5. This 18.5, 2.5 goes to finance your NHIF, that's your national health insurance. 11% will go to SNIT to take care of your tier 1. That is your regular monthly pension. So out of the money that was kept in the TPFA, at the time, around about 2017, February, March, that quantum was taken out of the TPFA. And then the 11% was given to SNIT. Then the remaining 5.5 or 5% was to go to the fund managers, administrators, and custodians to manage that one. And that will pay for the gratuity of people who retire. So indeed, the figures you see here as at 31st December 2016, I can assure you that these figures have all been cleared. Whatever is supposed to go into tier 1, we have moved it. Whatever is supposed to go to tier 2, the institutions, that is the MDAs who have declared or brought or submitted their